Guys, it's April 2020. We're on lockdown, so I'm just showing you my yard. This is the area that everything volunteered and grew. I had some pumpkins that I fed the chickens, and the pumpkin seeds must have fallen into this area, and now it's just booming with mostly pumpkins, the pie variety, and then amongst all these are some sunflowers. There's one, there's another, and it gives it some height and some shade. And over here I threw in some melon seeds, as you can see, and I'm just going to let it go crazy. And some of them may end up trellising. There looks to be some sorghum that may have come from the seeds that I fed the chickens with. And here is some cilantro that's going to, that has bolted, and now there are blossoms, which I love, and it brings the honeybees. Here are some other melons, and there are some plants that I'm not too sure of what they are. They could be bell peppers. I threw a bunch of seeds in here, but they don't look quite like them, so I'm not too sure. I'll just let it go and see what it is. Otherwise, I'll just cut it back and use it as compost. And here is a giant sunflower. Another sunflower that's ready to open. One that's not open yet. I just love sunflowers. I didn't used to, but they're just so nice. There's another one up there. And that one's at least 8 feet tall. And right here in the shade, as you can see, I've put some roses in there so that hopefully they'll come up pretty. And here are my volunteer, I guess they're perennials. They're called hollyhocks. And this one, oh my gosh, these are probably 8 to 9 feet or 10 feet tall. They're taller than the sunflowers. And see up there, look up there. It has little, let me zoom in for you. It has little bulbs. Those are where the flowers are going to bloom. So it's going to bloom all the way down to where you see this one is a red variety, which I didn't see last year. And there's a beautiful pink variety, which popped up last year. And I just have them all along here. It was just coincidental that they're growing here so tall, which is great because it's covering my rain cisterns. And I do want to keep those cisterns for a long time, and it's offering it shade. And this is kind of my wildlife sanctuary because anything can go in here, which is fine. I've been saving these stalks from the sunflowers and from the trees so I can trellis things up. But if I don't use them, which I haven't had the time to set it up, I need help with that. So one of these days, here's some volunteer borage. So by volunteer in this section with the hollyhocks, it's because I threw the seeds in last year, and when the end of the season was over, I just let it die back on its own, and I didn't know it was going to come back, so it's wonderful. And then over here, I have a volunteer borage. I grew some last year, and the seeds must have fallen down, so it's growing some in my wildlife sanctuary, And I'm not sure if this is a weed or if it is milkweed, which caterpillars love. I'm not sure. I just pull it down if it becomes, before it starts to seed. And here I had 3 loquats here that I grew from seed, and they grow very, very well. And this is the shady part of my yard. So I had 3, and I gave 2 to my friends. I don't need too many trees of the same variety. And right here, I have some mint that I pulled from their pineapple mint. It's variegated. I pulled it up from the front yard, and if it dies, so be it. I can always do it again. And that's Cuban oregano and another Cuban oregano. And a sunflower. And then, never mind this, we cut down branches of our mulberry tree that it doesn't bear fruit, and I'm just gonna try to slowly cut it, thin it out. And here's another volunteer board, and there is a ginger plant, and let's go back to this area. So this half of the yard is meant for the chickens and the rabbits. So we move their enclosure every so often, and we just make the soil much better. We enrich it with their chicken poo. And here I have, so this plot is one of 2. So this plot and that plot were from last year. They had spent some time over this area, and then since so much time has passed, I started growing things in it. So here are some volunteer tomatoes that I fed the chickens, and here is some collard greens, more collard greens that have gone to flowering, and I grew fennel here. This is my first time growing fennel. It smells like licorice, but when you taste it, it's really mild. You don't taste the licorice very much at all. And it's just starting to go to flower, which I harvest it as much as I can, but I didn't originally know how to prepare fennel because I didn't know the taste of it. You could put it in pastas and stuff like that. Here I'm trying to grow, what is it? Bell peppers. And then over here, let's try to get in here. Over here, I'm trying to grow some eggplant. It's kind of late in the season. It was a last minute idea because a lot of my plants are sunflowers and squashes, which I will not be able to eat or get to until fall. So here are my Brussels sprouts. And let me try to find the little guys. So I just love this flowering top. It's so pretty. And then as you go down the base of it, you'll see the Brussels sprouts. And I've been fortunate that I must have grown them later than the other brassicas because they were not infested too much with the white flies. And here is my calendula, but I'm not sure why it's dying back. It was blooming really beautifully earlier this year. And here is some anise that my neighbor gave me seeds to, and it looks very much like the fennel, which they may be in the same family. So I'm gonna try it and see how it tastes. And I know there are some Asian cuisine that use anise. So we'll see how it tastes. And here's some leftover, it's seeded from the Han Soy Choi that I grew in the winter, which now it's been infected probably with the white flies. And so I'll just pull it up and compost them. And here's a baby cauliflower, but I don't think it's going to live throughout the summer. It's going to be too hot here in California. And here is the seeding cauliflower. And here are my green onions. It looks really sparse. I have it dispersed throughout my yard. And here is a leek. And here are some more green onions mixed with garlic chives. And how you can tell the difference between green onions and garlic chives, or garlic, is that this is the green onion. It's kind of like tubular, and this one's starting to go to seed. And then these are newly cut greens from the garlic that I threw into the ground. And they're thinner. These are like flat leaf. And, you know, you can throw the garlic in the fall and harvest it at late spring and summer. And that's my favorite stuff to grow. It's green onions, garlic, leeks, onions. It's all the allium family are so flavorful, and I love to cook with them. So next year I'm going to grow a lot more of them, because I realize, you know, you should grow what you eat the most of, and that's what I'm going to do. So here, as you can see, this garlic head is flat, and it is, let me show you. If I turn it this way, it's flat. And this is also a leek. It's much bigger, as you can see, you know, in girth than the garlic. And here I have a canna that I grew, and it's really starting to not bolt, but it's really growing really well. It's beautiful. Eventually I'll move it elsewhere, because, as I said, this whole section, I'm going to have to pull up everything, move the chickens over to this area, and the bunnies, and let them fertilize this area, and then I'll have to rework the area they're in, and let it sit for a while, because chicken poop is hot compost, and then I can use it for gardening. And this area is closer to the house. I tend to grow more herbs, and I also tend to grow more vegetables in this area. And in the other area, it's more of a food forest. It's a young, early food forest. This is only the second year. So as you can see in here, I'll show you where I showed you initially. This is also where the other half of the yard, where the chickens and bunnies stay. So you see the tiny little pumpkins? They are, and then, oh, look over here is a volunteer Malabar spinach. It's the red variety. So that's vining. Let me just show you. So in the how it started, I'll let you know in another video, and you'll see why I'm trying to plant abundance, especially in this time where we need to have our own food, and just go back to the yard and just grab it instead of going to the store every day. So here's some scarlet runner beans that I'm growing up this trellis. I have a second trellis over there, if you can see that, for watermelons. So here's the scarlet runner bean. They grew pretty quickly. So I think I'm going to end the video here. so that I can explain some more to you.